Police in Thailand have deployed water cannons several times tonight as protesters defy a ban on gatherings for the second consecutive day. Protest organisers have declared an end to demonstrations. That's after riot police fired liquid into the crowd to disperse protesters. But tense standoffs remain on the streets of Bangkok tonight between some defiant protesters and the police. Thousands have taken to the streets of Bangkok despite a warning by Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. Protesters' key demands include Mr. Prayut's resignation and change to the current government. Mr. Prayut has already vowed to stay on, though, as Prime Minister. Our correspondents, May Wong and Saksit Sayasombat, they are tracking the situation in Bangkok for us right now. Let's go over first to May. May, a tense standoff remains in Bangkok. Can you tell us what's happening now?
At the situation right now, well, I'm moving simply because now the police is threatening to make arrests now, and therefore they're pushing people back simply because we are not allowed to be here anymore. Under the decree, they are able to arrest anybody at any time they want, even without any kind of explanation. But at this stage, they are pushing people out. Initially, it was all calm and quiet because the water cannon were actually coming through in this particular area, and now I'm getting shoved out of this area. I will move out and I will show you the fact that we've been pushed back even further. Well, earlier with the water cannons, let's stop with the cameraman, okay? Earlier with the water cannons, in fact, there are two water cannons that I saw, and they went around warning people to be moving backwards, and if they don't move backwards, they're going to spray the water, and that's exactly what happened. As you can see now, with all these police officers, they are continuing to expand the fact that you are not allowed to be in this area. In this building right now, this is MBK, Mabung Krong, an extremely popular downtown shopping here in Bangkok. And I just want to point to you as well, cameraman will point over onto that side and show you the fact that that was the main area where the protest was being held much earlier. But all these things happened only when the main protesters were actually already told to leave the area and leave the area very peacefully and very quietly, and they were actually making their way to Chulalongkorn University. And so honestly, the bulk of the people had already left this entire area before the water cannons started firing the water. And I want to point out to you as well, on the skywalk over there, the overhead walkway is where I was at earlier, and police officers were deployed onto that walkway, and they also warned people to leave and get off the walkway before they started spraying the water. And in fact, I got hit, and I must tell you that the water, when it hit me, it was not just plain water. It was water laced with pepper spray, and I could feel the sting on my entire face. I had to use water to actually wash it off, and thankfully I had my eyes closed at that point. It didn't get into my eye, but right now I can still feel this burning sensation on my face. So the police officers here are doing their job, but obviously the anti-government protesters are saying that you are just being controlled by the government at this stage, and they, instead of working for the people, instead of protecting the people, they have instead started to attack the people. And so the anti-government protesters, some of them are still milling around and refusing to move out of this area, and that's the reason why the police are also expanding their coverage of this area to prevent people from going back to the main site and to gather once again, because the minute you disperse all these protesters, it's not as easy to regroup at this particular stage. So all of these are very clear signs that the government is not tolerating this anymore. They are running low and almost zero patients right now, and that's the reason why they're using this emergency decree to try and, number one, arrest people if they want to, and also to perhaps deploy soldiers if necessary, because under the decree they are able to do that. So at this point we have to watch and see what is going to happen next. But from what I understand, the latest announcement is also the fact that the emergency decree giving more powers to Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha will be enforced until November 13.
All right, May, thanks very much for that very dramatic account. Let's head over to Saksit Sayasombat. Saksit, you've been walking with the protesters. Give us a sense of what their plans are at this moment.
Yes, indeed, John. I'm here at the main gate at Chulalongkorn University, where the students were initially coming to in order for a safe zone, as May mentioned. When the protest was dispersed over where May was, a bulk scores of people were going down the road from MBK Mall to either the campus and the main gate of Chulalongkorn University, or they were told once the protest was called off, they were also told to go home, that they could go straight. Most of the people were going straight that way, and there were a few people going inside there, but as you can see, there's nobody around there anymore at this place. But going forward, well, we do not know yet. The protest leaders have told media that to stand by for any further announcement, and I'm pretty sure that they're still trying to mull any other new options, because the confrontation by the police and by the authorities is something that they haven't really experienced on that level before. Yes, a lot of protest leaders have been arrested, have been detained, but then also some released, but they haven't really felt the full force of the state like this before, where authorities would actually use water cannons laced with chemicals on people. And you have to keep in mind, these protesters and the protests that we have seen in the past few months, calling for the government to resign and for vast political changes of the Thai political system, they have been predominantly peaceful, and the protesters are virtually all unarmed. And to see now then these protesters, who are mostly young people, as students, school children, then being shot but with water cannons laced with chemicals, this is quite a new dimension that we have seen here in Thailand, despite the fact that we have seen so many political protests in the past, despite the fact that most of these political protests have also descended into chaos and violence, many of them also giving a pretext for the powers to be to launch a military coup. And that is also something that the protesters are fighting against, to break the cycle of elected governments that are done away by military coups, in order, and also for the military to entrench themselves with their political powers in the political system. Now, the fight is maybe still going on, but we will see how this will unfold. As of now, we have no information what we'll do next.
Saksith, May, thanks very much for those accounts. We've been speaking there with Saksith Sayasambat and May Wong, doing some excellent legwork for us on the ground in Bangkok with the latest development from there.